Welcome to the March Hythe Dibden Parish Council meeting. Um, Before we start in earnest, I would like to have a few moments to put your thoughts together and to reflect on what's happened since last month. Thank you. Okay, members, right, I'm going to call the roll to check to just say here when I give out your name, please. Councillor Mark Clark.
Here, Mr. Chairman.
Councillor Rebecca Clark.
Present, Mr. Chairman.
Councillor Sean Cullen.
Present, Mr. Chairman.
Councillor Sandra Delamere.
Present, Chairman.
Councillor Philip Dowd.
Here.
Councillor Alan Fairhead.
Here, Chairman.
I know Councillor Kitcher's not with us. Councillor Simon Lodge.
Here, present.
Councillor Stephanie Osborne.
Here, Chairman.
Councillor Melody Roberts.
Here, Chairman.
Councillor Alex Wade.
Here.
And I, Malcolm Wade, am here also, as you can tell. Right, apologies for absence. We have had one from Councillor Kitcher. So I now go to item 2, which is declarations of interest and dispensations. Item A, to note any declaration of interest made by members in connection with agenda item, members to specify the nature of the interest. Do we have any verbal declarations of interest? I'll take that as a no.
Chairman.
Excellent. Oh yes, Councillor Wade.
With regards to planning, I'd like to declare an interest on my behalf and indeed on the whole council's behalf. Application 21-10156 was not commented on by this council because the application site was directly opposite one of our fellow councillors here on the parish's house, so it wasn't deemed appropriate to comment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Right, have we had any written requests for dispensations for disclosable peculiar interests? I take that as a no, and we don't need to grant any any requests for dispensations as appropriate. Excellent. Well, we now move to item 3, and I would like to welcome Chief Inspector Helen Andrews to our meeting. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Malcolm. Evening, everyone. So firstly, I'll start with crime, what's been going on in your particular area. We have had quite a few thefts from motor vehicles, and this isn't just in your area, and I don't know if you've read about it. It's been the catalytic converter thefts from vehicles that actually is across not only the force but nationally, and this is because the price of the metal has gone up significantly and can be sold. So we are making a visit to any local scrap metal yards to see if we can get any intelligence or find out where this metal is being sold, because it's obviously being sold somewhere. So there is work going on in the background, but it's very much intelligence led. You know, we could have 100 cops out in the New Forest and not necessarily catch someone, because it's a very quick crime to do. I think it's a matter of minutes to get this piece of metal out from under the car. So like I said, it's a national problem, and there's a sort of week of action in April regarding that. Burglaries and non-dwelling burglaries, the outbuildings, the sheds and garages, we have seen a dip in that across the New Forest, mainly because we've put in a lot of resources, spent a lot of money, and we've had some good arrests, and we've put a lot of that out on our social media. So that's good news. They are the two main crime issues. Next month, we've also got a week called Op Sector, which starts, I think, middle to end of April, and this is to do with knife crime. So each team, neighbourhood team, has a plan of action basically, and it's to do with enforcement and also engagement. So now the schools are open, we'll be visiting schools, we'll be visiting shops to make sure they don't sell knives to underage people. You know, even the convenience stores, say, or Asda or Morrison's, you know, they should all have processes in place that they shouldn't be selling to underage. Unfortunately, knife crime does link in with drugs, as you're aware. So we will be doing targeted patrols as well, intelligence-led operations. So we do this once or sometimes twice a year, and it is a good proactive week. So that's planned for next month. Antisocial behaviour is more so for PCSOs now, and also the AXOs, and they've been doing some really good work getting about where we've had reports. I don't know if Michael's going to speak about that, but we have been doing certain areas around schools, around Oak Road car park, Haynes Way, and it has got busier with antisocial behaviour. But I just think we have to balance it sometimes. That sometimes it is children being children or juveniles being juveniles, but you know, obviously we don't want them to be abusive to the public, etc. But as the nights get lighter, and even more so end of this weekend, we will have more people out and about, especially with lockdown being the restrictions being released as well. So this time of year it does always get busier with people being out and about. With COVID, so like I said, you know, restrictions are being released slowly. The roadmap doesn't seem to be being changed at all, so we're very much led by that. We've got plans in place, we've got a lot of structures in place for the opening of pubs, and I think we will be busy with our beer gardens, because like many cities, they don't have the big beer gardens we have, so we are linked in with our licensing teams and NFDC regarding that. Forestry England, we're doing joint patrols out in the beauty spots, car parks. We've got operations going on in the next few weekends where we'll be doing high visibility patrols in the car parks, where year in, year out, no matter how many times we tell people do not leave valuables in their cars, they still do it. But we'll be out proactively, basically educating yet again the public. We will obviously find the New Forest much busier as people will visit. We are being, it's really more now about engagement, because as the rules come down in some ways and more people get out and about, some ways it's harder to manage. However, we're still very much enforcing for those blatant breaches. I don't know if anyone's aware, but at the weekend there was a house party in Totton, and the person who organised that, 18-year-old female, has been issued with an £800 fine. So, you know, some may think that's a bit over the top, but she knows the rules, we all know the rules, and what she did, and her excuse was she didn't have COVID and it was her 18th, is really just not right. And I think we get some more support than negative comments. So it is about keeping the public engaged with us and keeping that confidence. And as you know, confidence in the police at the moment, after obviously the tragic death of Sarah Everard and the protest and the vigil and the incidents in Bristol, does not necessarily show some of the police officers in a good light. So we're very mindful of that, and I'm very much in touch with our IAG members, the Independent Advisory Group, just to make sure the feel from the community regarding the police is you know, okay, and just hearing back from the community. And I think maybe the younger women, their take on the police has gone down, unfortunately. I'm just mindful of that. So lastly, with COVID, so Shop Watch is up and running again, and also our Pub Watch will be up and running, and we'll be holding some more online beat surgeries for people to ask questions and engage with the PCSOs. So that is sort of the highlights from me. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to take any.
Any questions, members, for Helen?
Can I ask a quick question? Oh, sorry.
Alan, then Sean, and then Alex.
Yeah, good evening. With the knife crimes you're talking of and getting out and about, are you running a knife amnesty as well?
Yes, we generally do. But it's not as easy as just putting a sort of bin out in the front of the station, because it has to be managed. So,
Yeah.
but we will give times where we do that. It's quite good that we do receive quite a few knives.
Good, lovely, thank you.
So, but saying that, we do not, I just want to reassure people, we do not have a knife problem in the New Forest.
Thank you.
Sean and Alex, please.
My question was relating to the COVID ambassadors.
Mhm.
What's going to happen to their role as the unfolding easing of lockdown occurs?
So the COVID ambassadors, you all know, are from New Forest District Council, and many of them are from the leisure industry within that. So unfortunately, at the end of March, that role will cease. Okay, so and they will go back to their sort of day jobs that had been furloughed in the past. So many of them came from, I think, Totton Leisure Centre. Having said that, so they won't be there, but I've got extra resources patrolling PCs and PCSOs until at least the end of April. So particularly over the Easter weekend, which is going to be busy, no doubt, especially if the weather's good. So I've got extra staff out patrolling and attending any COVID calls and just being basically high profile out there.
Thank you very much for that.
Okay, thank you.
Alex.
Thank you, Helen. Thank you for your report. Are you aware of reports of individuals on motorbikes or mopeds riding around the parish on public open spaces, on pavements, dangerously near pedestrians, and causing antisocial behaviour and nuisance around the community, with particular focus on the public open spaces as well? Is there consideration for possibly more patrols on this? As I understand, there might have been a few reports on this.
Yes, I am aware of it, Alex, and I think it's been put in the AXO's report in February, and also PCSOs are aware of it. And we will get down there in certain areas when we can, but to be honest, it's not top priority for us, and we will leave it, a lot of it, to the AXOs. But where we can, we still want people to report it, but we do have to just prioritise and see what other things come in as well. So we're aware and we'll do what we can down there.
Okay. You've obviously seen the RXO's report. I just would like to say something. I know Helen raised some. There's been some high-profile incidents in the media recently, but I would like to say that my my dealings with the police locally has always been very, very positive. And I think the police in the New Forest do a sterling job, and it's been a challenging time with resources and the rest you've had to deal with. And I think you're doing a good job here, and I think the people of the New Forest will recognise that. Incidents in other cities, the dynamic that brought those about isn't the situation we have here, and I think young people of all ages and older should still see the police in the same light as the protections and guardians of society that we have, and we thank you for the work that you do on their behalf. But all right, now, sorry, it's okay. Alan wants to say something. I was going to bring Michael in, who's going to say something about his report.
No,
I'm sure Helen would like to stay for a minute. Isn't that?
I was giving you a thumbs up to say I agree with you, and a clap to say, yeah, I agree. I think the police do a good job in our area. Thank you.
Thank you. Right, Michael, although we can't see you, we know you're there, and that's all that matters. Do you want to say anything about your report?
Yes, certainly. Can you hear me?
We can, loud and clear.
First and foremost, sorry about it. It's come up as Mike Cathcart, and it says the camera's being used in another app. So I don't know what's gone wrong there. So apologies. Yes, just touching on what Helen spoke about the people riding around the parish area on the two motorbikes without the helmets. Mike and I are increasing our patrols. We were out till just after 9 o'clock last night, both using our vehicle and on foot, and didn't come across any of them, unfortunately. However, we did come across a gentleman out jogging who gave us a name who he thinks is one of the perpetrators, and a road of where the bikes are. We obviously patrolled that road on foot and vehicle and today, and haven't seen these bikes. We're working close with the Handy Trust and Sophia to identify them, and as soon as we do, obviously we'll notify the PCSOs. Obviously we'll engage with them if they're willing to engage with us, point out the dangers of it, not just to the public but to themselves as well. So we are really working hard to get in touch with these guys, but we just can't nail them down at the moment. Our biggest concern is if they see us, they will about turn, tear off in the opposite direction. So we need to get them on a face-to-face, i.e. find out where they live, and speak to the family, the parents and them. But Sophia's working hard on it as well. Next week, Sophia's coming out with both Mike and I from the Handy Trust to also engage with the local community, so we get who the local characters are, because it's lockdown. There's been not much happening. We're not yet getting engagement with who the local characters are, so she'll be very handy for that. Regarding the antisocial behaviour with other children, is exactly what Helen's brought up. It's children being children. We've approached a few people doing things they shouldn't do. We've had absolutely positive feedback from them. We've engaged with them, they've apologised, they've moved on. Mike even got a lolly from one of them yesterday for doing something wrong. So yeah, it's all good. It is children being children. We've kept on top of that. The only other thing was another set of guys on motorbikes. This time the little small trikes, they are going around the area, especially as Alex said, on the open green spaces. They are wearing helmets, but they're not registered, so obviously they're breaking the law. Again, Sophia has got an idea of who two of them are, and we're going to approach them very shortly as if to advise them on the dangers of it and the legalities. Apart from that, we are seeing a busier Hythe and Dibden because of the lighter evenings and the warmer evenings, but generally the antisocial behaviour isn't too bad. It is children being children. They do react when we ask them not to do it, and it's in a favourable way, so all good there.
Okay, well done, Michael. That's great. I mean, I think one of the overriding images is seeing you and Mike on patrol in the community together, because you know, and I know the police would love to be able to go back to that type of policing, but they just don't have the people. But it's very reassuring to local people to see that. The fact that you're working with the PCSOs and the police as well is exactly as we wanted it to be. And you can provide in the reassurance and the engagement of the youngsters, because you're right, the majority of them are just kids being kids. There are some that perhaps need have different issues that need a different approach, but the majority of them are that. And I think what you're doing is brilliant. That's what we want. Now I've got Mark and Alex who want to say something. Mark first, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and absolutely we echo your sentiments of seeing the police and the ACSOs working together. Mike, I just wonder, have you got on your planned programme eventually to go and introduce yourself to the youngsters at the secondary schools in the area?
We have, yes, absolutely. When it's COVID safe, we are going to work closely with the schools. We've even drawn up a PowerPoint presentation to present to the children. As soon as we're allowed to do that, we'll be putting that into practice. We met with the head teacher at Nodeswood, and we've met with the head teacher at Wild Grounds as well. And we will be visiting the schools as well as the community youth club.
Brilliant. It would just your, heighten your visibility. That's great to hear. Thanks very much indeed. Thank you, and best of luck with it.
Thank you.
Alex.
I had two questions, but Mark did actually ask one of them to the word. So, yeah, I completely echo obviously the sentiments of Malcolm and Mark, and it's really encouraging already. I've actually seen you both on patrol in Jones Lane. I didn't wave, and it's also encouraging to see that already the multi-agency relationships are working closely with Sophia. My question is on a different tact. Are we going to be, yourself and Mike, going to be working on speaking to sort of more possibly older, maybe more vulnerable members of the community who might be impacted by some of the what feels like more and more scams, be it by post, by phone, by online, that seem to be going around, and even whether it's newsletters or offering guidance on just sort of highlighting these scams that seem to be more and more to sort of the more vulnerable areas of our community.
We are absolutely. We actually spoke with the Royal Mail this morning with regards to potential scammers delivering leaflets to people's properties, and they're not actually they're delivering leaflets, but they're actually checking out the addresses, and that's what the Postal Service, the Royal Mail, said they were concerned today. So we've made an arrangements to meet with them. We will be visiting anyone that wishes to speak to us. We're giving our business cards out to as many people as we can, and we're just asking them to report any potential scamming to us, and then we can then pass it on to the PCSOs.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any more questions for Helen or Michael? No? Well, thank you very much, Helen, for coming along. It's really appreciate that. And thank you, Michael, for your contribution as well. You're welcome now to get back to more important things. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Malcolm, and thanks to everyone. I know we don't always get it right, so you have all got an email address, so any concerns or issues, feel free to email me. Otherwise, I'll speak to you all next month, no doubt. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Okay, members, we're now going to item 4, which is to confirm the minutes of the last meeting on page 5. Now, I will go this page by page, and if anybody wants to point out any inaccuracy or any point, please say so. Eyes down, page 5, page 6, page 7, page 8, page 9, page 10. Are you all clear that's a true record? Could somebody say something, please?
So agreed. So
okay.
sir.
Thumbs up. Thank you. Okay, now we go to item 5, which is Chairman's announcements. And I have a plethora of announcements this month, which is a bit like buses, loads in one go or hardly any. So if you forgive me as I go through these. Right, okay.
Malcolm, can I just confirm that the extraordinary minutes were included in your, that was page 11.
My apologies, I didn't do that. I just did I forgot about that one. Yes, good point. Members, forgive me, but such is the frailties of virtual meetings, right? Especially when we've thrown in an extra council meeting. Right, so before I go to the plethora of announcements, I would like to you to just cast your eyes over the extraordinary meeting we held on Monday the 15th of March, page 11, and can somebody confirm that this is a true record of that meeting?
So proposed, Mr. Chairman.
I'm happy.
Thank you very much. Right, that's done. Thank you, Sue, for that timely intervention. It's what good clerks are for. Well done. Right, now back to the amendments. Back to announcements. Sorry. Right. Okay. Well, first of all, a few things to highlight. That the A326, I'm going to do this one actually. Last month, the Parish Council confirmed its support for the Waterside Cycling Group's proposals for a new signal crossing I've supported that as the county councillor as well. An associated path over the A326 south of the Applemore roundabout in the vicinity of the access road to Applemore Recreation Centre. Hampshire County, I'm pleased to announce on the 11th of March, Hampshire County Council member for Economy and Transport approved phase 1 of the package of measures delivered in 21-22 to the east-west connectivity of the A326 Harley Wallside. And I can add to that large numbers of the members of the public are not happy with them. I think I need to add that point because I passed it on to the public through Facebook and they came back with their views, and I've asked them to forward them to the cabinet member for economy and transport, so he's advised of what local people think of what they're proposing to do, and some are for, some are against. The next item is the plans for the Memorial Garden project are ongoing. However, the Parish Council is awaiting the formal transfer of the Grove Garden land, which has been delayed due to COVID. Once that is out of the way, we can really get to grips with putting a memorial garden in. Because I know members, you like me, think it's very important that we have somewhere where local people can sit in quiet and reflect and think about those of us that sadly are not here anymore, and the issues that has arisen. The Waitrose, which is privately managed for all members, and has now brought in car parking charges for over 2 hours. It covers a period of 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So please note that charges are also applicable to blue badge holders, which is a bit shame, really, isn't it? I have something here from from Alex via Graham Parks. Hythe Dibden Community Centre, which is a great community association, which is a great organisation, runs the community centre, and they need some help and support. They need some volunteers to sit on the committee. Now, I put this out there to any members of the public that are watching this. If they're interested in helping with the community association, they should get in touch with Graham Parks. Okay, at the I'm just looking for his email. Well, the parish council will be able to supply the contact details for Graham. I think that if you just get in touch with the parish council. Okay. I think that probably covers most of the things I'm going to talk about, unless you want to raise anything else, Sue, that I've missed. No, I think that's what we're talking about. Okay, thank you very much, members. We now go on to, I've got so many bits of paper here. Right, we now go on to item 5, reports by county and district members. That's me again, I suppose. Right, okay, well, something's just, oh dear. Excuse me a second, it's like a technical problem. I didn't usually have this when something gets over the laptop. You don't get this in a live meeting. You know, in a live meeting, we sit round a table. But when you're here doing it through virtual, and there's no one here but me to wipe it up, I have to do this. Sorry about that. Right, now, my report. And this is going to be very short, very, very short. Since the last meeting, the only Hampshire County Council meeting I've attended was the full council meeting, where we discussed the budget, and I suggested last time it was an increase of 4.99%. 3% is specifically for adult social care. This makes the county council's bandy council tax for the year beginning 1st of April 2021 being £1,350.45p. That's the county council segment. You'll be interested to know that I and my Lib Dem colleagues voted against it because the people of Hampshire are once again, due to the severe service reductions, even without the effects of COVID, pay more for less. The county council refuses to lobby government properly and use its considerable political influence to get more funding for local government in Hampshire. This cannot go on, or local government services will be under serious threat as demand rises and funding drops. On a different and more positive tack, the letters I wrote from this council and myself as county councillor to support Hythe Ferry have borne fruit. The council agreed to a further funding of £22,500 if both New Forest District Council and Southampton City Council do as well. So this support, I will hope, will, with excellent funding efforts of our local Hythe and Dibden people, will help and allow the ferry to continue. I know that I will be saying that the district is agreed, but we don't know about Hampshire City Council yet, but I'm sure they will join in and help with that. Right, okay, now members, we go to the district councillors. I go to Philip Dowd, who's next on my screen.
Thank you, Chairman. On the 15th of March, I attended the Cemetery Regulations Task and Finish Group. This was a limited scope meeting to update the current regulations for the 8 district council-owned cemeteries, but also included closed or part-closed church grounds that have been taken over by the district. On the 16th of March, the clerk, deputy clerk, and myself met with Claire Upton Brown and one of the NFDC officers, Steve Cook, to discuss the options about urgent repairs to our flood defences. The issue of responsibility management and communication is not straightforward, but the meeting helped clarify the next steps. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Stephanie Osborne, you're next on the screen.
Thank you, Chairman. I was just going to say, for casework, with the complications of lockdown, there have been plenty of individual casework to do during this year and this month. Working from home brought many complaints from noise pollution, machinery, music and domestic rows. In many cases, there were parents and children cooped up trying to cope with online working, school lessons, etc. Often work and school trying to be delivered at the same time. There were several unneighbourly disputes involving fence boundaries and tree problems, but wearing masks, etc., I still managed to visit some cases when I've been asked to do so, but in the open air, of course, and in between the lockdowns. I was voted chair of the new Climate Emergency Committee last year. The year seems to have gone quickly. We've had several meetings and things are looking very promising. Changes done and planned were described by 2 members of the public attending our March meeting, I think it was only yesterday, as exciting, enthusiastic and a committee that gets things done. So we couldn't have a better compliment than that. My biggest disappointment this month was being turned down by the ruling majority party on the district council. The motion proposed by Malcolm Wade was to provide free parking for 6-month break for all our forest villages to support local businesses, our ferry and all the shops. I spoke as a seconder to the motion, and although our own area's councillors unanimously supported this, the rest did not. We also recently had a similar proposal turned down, asking for young people's bus passes similar to the OAP version to encourage the use of buses. My community funds are used widely this year, and I supported Honeypot, Hythe Men's Shed on the pier, the school computer project for working at home, the Living with Loss group, and 2 lots of provision for school dinners and OAP roast dinners provided by our lovely little Hythe Dibden Parish. I'm a supporter of the Waterside Skate and Ride project and donated to that as well. I've attended, as the appointed councillor, the cycling groups for the LC Whip workshop, which was 4 hours, which is the body responsible for planning, cycling and walking in the whole area. I've been invited and attended the Hampshire Green Travel Network group and also the New Forest Zero Carbon Alliance group, where I managed to make good contacts for other projects. I was voted to represent our parish in the New Forest consultative panel, and that was very interesting, knowing how the forest is coping and being managed in this time of big change and lockdown. I'll summarise a bit. I don't know if my 3 minutes is up, is it? I'm a member of the Hythe Hospital Stakeholder Group, and also you all know that's going on from the noise and everything that's happening up there. I'm giving my ongoing support and enthusiasm to the Hythe Ferry and the pier. I make my own personal contributions. Vision for the Waterside. I attended the online Waterside conference. It presented several key changes, and the most exciting things were about the A326 lane and roundabout changes, ABP, the Forley Power Station, Smart Town, Marchwood Military Port, and a chance to secure a bid to get a free port status. So that was a very interesting meeting with a lot of landowners and businesses keen to see development here. The most unusual request this week is from a landowner who has horses in Frost Lane by the railway line. I've requested to beware of the wild deer on the road. Helen has applied for a sign, and we will hope keep you posted as to the success. The traffic is repeatedly reported as speeding down that area. So caution is needed as a herd of deer will not be expected to cross the road there. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Alex, you're next.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you all. The Working Party for monitoring the contract with My Time for Dibden Golf Course met on the 1st of March. It was advised that they're planning for a 29th of March reopening of the course following COVID restrictions with a maximum 2 ball bookings to start with. Discussions on a takeaway style catering for players is ongoing. The grounds maintenance team have been working on improving the entrance to the course and fairways. The group has supported NFDC with rent waivers that have been mostly funded by government grant to support the course through the pandemic. Southampton is no longer run by My Time, as you have seen. This was discussed. However, My Time only ran the course and not the catering on that site, which, as you could appreciate, was not ideal. So it's different from our current deal. Officers will meet with the ladies' captain once lockdown allows to discuss issues raised by members and players on the court stage, the course and the running by My Time. We meet again on the 12th of April. At February's full New Forest District Council meeting, I seconded a motion for the council to support a New Forest Pride event, which was supported by almost all members. It was a heartening discussion led by Councillor Jack Davies, and it was agreed to fly the rainbow flag, support a future Pride event, where possible, provide gender-neutral toilets in council buildings, and review each service to ensure they're accessible to all, irrelevant of gender and sexual orientation. There was also a debate, as previously mentioned, on parking charges, passionately and really thoughtfully led by Councillor Malcolm Wade and Councillor Steph Osborne. It was a great motion to support the district's businesses and high streets, and it was disappointingly voted down by Conservative councillors. They challenged us on why we didn't come up with ideas, and when we do, they refuse to support them. The proposal to have Freedom Leisure run the operation and management of our 5 leisure centres went through with a vote on somewhat expected party lines. Very disappointed, but not surprised. However, I wish it every success, but do not feel this was the right time. And I hope that I can sit on the contract monitoring group, task and finish group, or one of my Lib Dem colleagues does moving forward. As Malcolm mentioned, council tax has been agreed for 21 and 2022. In the New Forest District area, there will be a £5 rise or 2.8% for the New Forest District Council portion, with for average Bandy property paying £183.36. The overall tax rise for a Bandy property will be 4.7% or £87.55p, with an average yearly tax of £1,923.90 for Bandy. The budget was voted through again on party lines with not really much imaginative policies to support our high streets, climate emergency, public transport provision, and sort of no real willingness to engage with somewhat positive counter proposals from the opposition group. Elsewhere, other information, St Jude's unfortunately has been voted through by New Forest District Council planning. Unfortunately, this was not supported by the parish. We were against this proposal. I have had SID speed monitor checks on Shore Road that has advised higher speed than is acceptable. So there is likely to be further data pending budget on this road to help monitor dangerous driving and speeding. And there will be a new leader of the New Forest District Council Authority as Councillor Brickman has resigned, and the new leader will be chosen on 12th of April. Thank you.
Thank you. Right, now, Councillor Mark Clark, please.
Nothing much to report, Mr. Chairman, apart from the an answer about my favourite development up at Forest Lodge. I had asked one of the questions which, because of the length of the budget meeting at the last district council meeting, we weren't able to take any questions or answers. Somewhat frustratingly, the chairman didn't give us the option to continue with the meeting. It closed it up at 10 o'clock. Those of us that were still there and still awake at that time will be a test to. But so the question I wrote to them was simply about whether there'd been some documentation available that we could see which approved the developers putting the soakaways into a correct depth on that particular site. And in answer, Councillor Heron, who is the portfolio holder for the planning portfolio, suggested that he apologised for the site notes of the inspections that were carried out by planning and building control were not made public, and that was an internal error to the NFDC. Those have now been made public, which approves that those soakaways are in a correct depth. But then I did go on to ask further things about the public open space, which I know Sean was interested in when we discussed it last month, and the answer he gave me, that they are in preliminary discussions with Vivid about the public open space and the children's play area, but it's still yet to be agreed with Vivid. So we really don't know whether there'll be another planning application for perhaps a move or something on that site. So Vivid are communicating with their future tenants about the site and will be maintaining an ongoing relationship with the future occupants as managers of the properties and space. So it ain't over yet, folks.
Thank you, Mark. Councillor Sandra de la Mare. Sandra?
I've not really anything much to report, Chairman. I too attended the full council meeting, and I think my fellow councillors have covered whatever's been going on. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Rebecca Clark. Rebecca.
Thank you, Chairman. I was going to say, very similarly to Sandra, we've had some very comprehensive reports about what's been going on at district so far already, so I won't add anything further. Thank you.
Okay, my district report, the one challenge about going last, everybody said everything nearly that you could talk about. But I just want to point out a couple of highlights. Yes, I proposed the motion for the 6 months suspension of car parking. The challenge that we have, and probably many people have, is getting the district council to think out of the very narrow box it exists in. This was costed by the finance department of the district council, how we could do that perfectly safely within budget and so forth. But the council could not understand the indirect costs that by not doing this you would get. A number of businesses in the New Forest will fail. They will fail, and the people that own it and work for them will be out of work. So they won't be paying council tax. They may need housing benefit. They will be drawing and needing benefits from the government and so forth. And the businesses won't be paying business rates, which although the chief executive said, well, we don't get them. Yes, but they go to the government that help pay for other things. And aren't we all in this together? Now, this concept of finance is way beyond most of the councillors in the district council. So they obviously didn't support it. Again, the budget, 2.8%, Alex has said that. Again, but more for less, really. It's then returned. The leisure centre issue is another one. We're in a pandemic, the leisure centres are closed. So what do? You sell them off, sell off the management and the running of them, a vitally important resource, or do you wait till we know how people are going to behave post-COVID? Are we going to attract the people to the leisure centres in the future that we did in the past? Are we going to be able to use them as a main driver for improving the well-being of the people of the New Forest? We don't know. So it's a bit like rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic when it's already embedded in the iceberg, right? They really don't understand the logic. Leave it for 6 months after the lockdown and then review it. And I and a lot of other people have told them to do that. But sadly, they can't conceive issues outside that very narrow field that the Conservative administration exists in. The bright spot of that meeting was the LGBT thing. I was very pleased that nearly every councillor supported that. I just wanted to mention, I attended a planning committee on the 10th of March, and I couldn't be there for all the meeting, but I was there for the St Jude development one, and I pay tribute to the eloquent way that Councillor Roberts spoke on behalf of this council at that meeting on that application. She did an excellent job, and I did my best to chip in and actually propose that that application was rejected, and I managed to accrue the support of a number of the other planning members, but sadly we lost it 10-6. So, but we gave it a good try because I think it was the right thing to do. Finally, members, I attended Environment Over Scrutiny Panel, another gargantuan meeting, along with Councillor Osborne. It went on till 5:30 because there was about 14 things on the agenda. And An interesting bit, and I've already spoken to our officers about this, was about coastal defence and the Environment Agency. And Philip is very involved in this. I passed this on to him as well. The Environment Agency will provide funding for coastal defence where houses are at risk, and we have a possibility to possibly draw on that from here. And finally, Chairman, NFDC has got a new leader. I couldn't help having a wry smile when the police are reporting about scrapyards, but that's got nothing to do with that. That was a little bit of humour. But anyway, members, I would like to say that is all from my report on that one. I want to leave you with one point, and this, I think the parish council should note this. The district councillors have been working very hard on behalf of our residents. I know all you see is a report, a few words from some of you don't even see a report, but that don't go under any illusion. I get to see what they're doing, and they are working very hard, as are our parish councillors as well. You know, you're all doing a great job for our community. I just want to pay tribute to you for that. Okay, now the next item on the agenda is the public forum, but I've got an RTS from Alan. But can you leave that till we have questions to councillors? Item 9. That'd be okay.
Chairman, it's members serving on outside bodies.
Oh, my apologies. You're right. Oh, yeah, it's the bottom. Oh, yes. By the way, members, before I forget, I, in error in my county report, said that Hampshire hadn't. Well, I meant to say Southampton City Council haven't confirmed their funding. Both Hampshire County Council and New Forest District Council, which is a plus thing, have. Right. So my apologies, Alan. Right. Floor is yours.
Thank you. As you're aware, Chairman, just as a parish councillor, we don't get grants, but I've managed to provide 2 used tablets to the Handy Trust, and through a colleague of mine, he has supplied 2 printers for them to use as they will. But the main thing is outside, I'm one of the 2 councillors who serve on the HPHA board, and through that, our next board meeting is tomorrow, where we are trying to finalise plans for the handover of the repaired carriage back onto the track. And on that score, from the Hythe shed at the pier, we are about finished in the rebuild of the carriage, ready to hand it over for the roof to be done by a fiberglass firm. But my members, taking all the COVID restrictions in place, have been down there getting it sorted out. So I'm pleased to say that the carriage is almost done. We've almost finished painting the engine as well. And Simon and I are taking a very active interest in the board of the HPHA to see what we can do to assist in getting the job all done.
Very well done, Alan. As I said before, district councillors and parish councillors are working really hard for our community. That is another example. Are there any other members and outside bodies that want to say anything before we go to the item 8? Okay, item 8, public forum. Have we had any questions from the public, Sue? None at all. Okay, right. Well, we'll go to item 9 then, which is questions to councillors from the council. Anybody got one? I've got an RTS. Alex has got one. And Mark has got one. Alex first, then Mark.
A question to you from your county council report, Chairman. With regards to the Applemore crossing, can you clarify or at least come back to the council and share if, in addition to the Applemore crossing that has been negotiated, which I do support, that Dibden roundabout crossing is still part of the plans, please?
Okay. I think there's been a bit of confusion here. I have asked for confirmation with the traffic engineer about this, because the only talk of crossing was south of Applemore roundabout, so that horse riders, cyclists and pedestrians could travel up the route to Ipley Crossroads into the New Forest. as you're aware, there is no northern route from Dibden roundabout. So that, yes, there is some sensitivity about crossing main road to go down Hythe Road, if you understand if your geography of that. But there isn't anywhere to go north of Dibden roundabout because it exists. You can go along a little stretch of main road, but that is not an area that we would really encourage a lot of traffic down. So yeah, I will ask that question as well. Actually, I'll make a note to do that. Okay. Thank you. Next was Mark, and then Alan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You're obviously aware that I attend the Fawley Parish Council meetings as part of my district patch falls within the Fawley Parish Council meeting, and there was a rather interesting development with the officers from Southern Water attempting to give a presentation and answer a number of questions about the proposed desalination plan. And I just wonder whether we've moved forward with inviting Southern Water to our own council, as it's not very far down the road and will affect, no doubt, some of our patch, and when that meeting might take place, and can we make it perhaps a single issue meeting and open to the public, of course?
Well, on your behalf, I have been pursuing this with our officers, and I know Sue's been working hard to try and arrange something. Sue, do you want to respond on any of this?
Yes, I did make contact, and I've got the contact details. I spoke to the person who can give the presentation to us. They offered next Monday and Tuesday, which this council can't do. I've requested some more dates, but they can't get back to me till this Friday. So when I have some dates to give out, then I can come back to you again.
It will be a standalone meeting, I think.
Yeah, it will be standalone.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. The next one, I think, is Alan.
Thank you, Chairman. Picking up on what Alex was saying about roundabouts, when money is available, probably it's highways, can we not get names put on the roundabouts? You know, I've noticed a lot on social media, people are confused as to which roundabout is which. But if it had got a name on the roundabout, that would take a lot of confusion out of things. I know that money's tight at the moment, just when they've got the money to do signage, perhaps they could put signs on the roundabout to put a name to it.
That's not a bad idea, actually. I know
it's not bad. I thought.
Yeah. It's a very good idea. What I was going to suggest is, I'll take that up with the highway department. But if you want to drop me an email, just that, and I'll get a response for you. If you're okay to do that.
Thank you, Chairman.
Yeah. Okay, Alex, I believe you've got another RTS.
Well, Alan mentioned signs and highways, so I have to jump onto this. Could you, as county councillor, the current county councillor, please email Hampshire County Council to chase up the sign repairs that have to go on around the parish, starting with Applemore Roundabout, where the Hythe sign is still far lower. It should be at the top of the pole, not the bottom of the pole. And there are other signs around the parish, I believe you made aware of, that need replacing or fixing. And it's been quite some time now. And as we come out of lockdown, I was wondering, you've already raised this before on our behalf, and we appreciate it. But could you escalate it further and have a more clearer timescale, please? Thank you.
Well, I have raised this with Hampshire on a number of occasions, and I keep being said, yes, they're on the list, but they're low priority. And with their exceedingly restricted budget, they're not going to get round to it until they're going to get round to it, and that's, if you pardon the expression. But yeah, you know, drop me an email, I'll chase them up again. But I realistically, and I want to give you a realistic answer, their funding is so short. There are other bigger priority jobs that they're doing. Right, and now I think we've got no more. So now we go to item 10, which is for Alex to present the minutes of the planning meeting. Oh, hang on. So I've got an RTS from Mark. Is this one last quick question?
Yeah, no,
And
Mr.
after-
Chairman, it was just simply to ask whether the council have got enough flags, because apparently it's just been announced that all local council buildings should fly the Union flag all year round. Thank you.
Okay. Do we have a selection of union? Well, sorry, a selection one will do. A union flag at all, Sue? Do you know? Or Sean?
We have a Union flag at the Grove. I don't know about other buildings.
Well, I don't think we've got a flagpole in the other buildings. Surely the Grove is the only one where we fly flags that is necessary to do that. Okay. Alex?
Yes, Chairman. I have 3 is the chairman aware questions.
Oh, right. It's best to the last. Okay.
Okay. Firstly, is the chairman aware that on social media and via direct email to myself and possibly other councillors, there's been some incredibly positive feedback about the daffodils that have been planted all around the parish, especially Southampton Road. And I think that it'll be important for the chair to raise this with the maintenance team and write to them and thank them, because they look beautiful, they look amazing, and the feedback has been extraordinary. And I think it's really nice to hear members of the public praising our parish council maintenance staff in particular. I just thought it's important to raise that.
That's a very good point. I see the beauty of their handiwork personally, and I know it is appreciated by the people of Hythe and Dibden. Sue, what is the best way so as to sort of pass this on to our maintenance team? A letter or just word of mouth? Which will be the best way, do you think?
Well, I can. That if anyone is very good at taking photographs, that we take some really good photographs of the daffodils, maybe with a Hythe or Dibden sign behind it, that we can use in a future newsletter.
Good idea. That is really good thinking. Okay, Alex, what are the next one you've got?
Is the chairman aware that that we could ask for the contact details with regards to supporting the community centre to be placed on Hythe Pier, and if we could place it on social media as well, advising the Hythe Community Centre social media page to get in contact with Mr. Parks regarding supporting this important part of the community.
I think we can do that.
I think we've already started doing that.
Thank you. Sorry, Sue. Thank you.
Right.
And lastly, Malcolm,
yes.
More seriously, is it possible for this council to write to, and I appreciate it's privately owned, the owners of Waitrose car park, to ask if consideration would be given to reducing charges for nighttime economy in the car park? We appreciate obviously for daytime, reconsidering charging for blue badge holders, and lastly, if obviously now they're going to be charging for the car park, would there be a review of the car parking spaces and sizes of the spaces? Because obviously there's historical issues with incidents within the car park, because obviously these are very, very quite tight spaces, and to write to them generally, also to raise our concerns about the lack of local consultation on bringing these charges in, as it was somewhat of a surprise to large members of the community. Sorry for the somewhat long question.
Actually, that's a very good point raised. Well said, Alex. Can we write to the landlord of the owners of that car park, Sue, please, with those points?
Does Waitrose own its car park and manage it itself?
No, I believe it's owned by the landlord for that building. Sean's got his hand up, he'll know.
Sue, we've got the address in the office, so you can ask Marcus and he'll be able to provide you with the agent's details.
Thank you.
If we can do that, because I think that Alex has raised some very good points. This came right out of the blue at the time of a national pandemic, and those parking places are very small. Right, now I've got another question, which is from Alan.
No, Chairman, it's just been answered in the comments about the Waitrose don't own the car park.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right, now we're going to go to planning committee, okay? Right, okay. Item 10, to receive the delegate decisions of planning committee. Over to you, Alex. Page 15.
My apologies. I didn't intend this to come so long after I asked so many questions in a row. My apologies to everyone watching. So page 13 was a one-off planning decision where we had to make an immediate decision with regards to the St Jude's application that came back. So we'll discuss that one first. Councillor Malcolm Wade, as a member of the planning committee, did not share or give any comments or views on this. So can I confirm that on page 13 and 14, we are happy with the comments raised and we're a true reflection of the committee?
Yes, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, page 15 was the traditional, the March planning meeting. Councillor Malcolm Wade again did not comment because he's a member of the NFDC Planning Committee. Councillor Cullen did not comment on 21-10148 as he is a governor of the Wild Ground Federation, and nor did he comment on 21-10168 as a relative lives close to the application site. Conversely, it's the same one as similar weeks by coincidence. Also, the committee did not comment in its entirety on 21-10156, as Councillor Osborne lives opposite the application site and is indeed one of our colleagues. So, from pages 15 onwards, please will you decide that these are a true reflection of the committee's comments and views that were sent to NFDC. And once again, thank you ever so much for Claire for taking these and forward them on and getting them to NFDC so quickly at the agreed time. So thank you very much, Claire. I will go through it page by page. 15, 16, 17, 18. Do we all agree these are a true reflection of the committee's views? Thank you, Philip. Straight in. So I propose these to the council. Thank you.
Okay, great. That's everybody happy with that? We now move on to item 11, which is Economic Development and Tourism Working Group. And this is to receive the notes from the Economic Development Tourism Group held on the 12th of March 2021. And this, members, is for noting. I think it's worth just explaining that the majority of the meeting was discussing how we can help and support Blue Funnel Ferries to retain the hire ferry service. And a lot of good work was done by the working group on ideas for that. And the rest of it was on some local issues about signage, reopening and events plan. That's for noting, members, okay? So we'll move on to item 12, which is the council's received a grant application. Now, I'm going to call on, and there's a recommendation in here, on the chairman of the grants group, which I think is Alex, if he wants to say something on this.
I'm not actually the chairman of the grants group.
You're not, but what you lead. How do we do? We've had the chairman for this before.
It's either the grant working party is made up of Sandra, Philip, and Alan. So take your pick.
Okay, right. Well, any one of you then want to talk about this then? Please. Anybody want to support the recommendation then? How may you put it that way?
Yes, I'm happy to. I'm happy to support it.
Is there a seconder for that?
I'm happy to second this.
Second it.
Sorry.
Okay, all right, well, that's great because we're going to vote on this then. So the recommendation is that the council gives a grant of £550 to the Warside Disability Information Service in recognition of support it provides to local residents. Okay, for or against, please. Councillor Mark Clark.
Approved, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Okay. Rebecca Clark. Councillor Rebecca Clark.
For, Chairman.
Councillor Sean Cullen.
For, Chairman.
Councillor Sandra Delamere.
For, Chairman.
Councillor Philip Dowd.
For.
Councillor Alan Fairhead.
For.
Councillor Matthew Kit. No, he's not here. Councillor Simon Lodge.
For, Chairman.
Councillor Stephanie Osborne.
Definitely for, Chairman.
Councillor Melody Roberts. Melody's not here now, is she? Yeah, Councillor Alex Wade.
For, Chairman.
And myself, the chairman, Malcolm Wade, is for, so that is passed unanimously. Okay, members, we now go to the final item on the agenda, which is finance. Item A is the internal interim internal audit, receive a report from the Lighter Touch auditor and note the contents of internal audit undertaken 1 week ago. Remember, members, this is the internal audit, our critical friend that helps us make sure we're well prepared for the external audit. Sue, do you want to make any comment about this?
Yeah, Tim from Lighter Touch spent a day working remotely and a day in the office as well, undertaking his first audit of our sort of accounts. He came up with quite a long report, which you've got in your papers here. The things I'd highlight, this is not a year-end audit, but an interim audit. 3 things that I think we need to be aware of is, one is that he's recommending that council receives a quarterly or a monthly, whichever, spend versus budget report, which apparently you used to receive, probably didn't last year, but he's recommending that those are reinstated, and I'm working with Bev, the finance officer, to get that up and running again. He has recommended that councillors undertake a quarterly audit, which is kind of a random coming in and just going through to check that the procedures are working as you would expect them to. It's quite normal for this to happen in the council, and I'm just currently setting up a template by which will make it easier for you to do this. And then the final thing he was recommending is to sign off, that the clerk signs off the bank the bank reconciliations each month when they're done, rather than them come to council. So there's nothing serious in there. There's just some minor irregularities that he came up with. So I think all in all, given the fact that it's been a year of pandemic, if that's worse that he came up with, well, I think it's pretty good, actually.
Yeah, I can echo those thoughts. I mean, we had a year of a pandemic. We didn't have a full-time clerk, and we were all going through some pretty stressful things. I think our officers did exceedingly well during that year, and we should be duly thankful for their efforts. Yeah, I think that the audit, as auditors do, sometimes do stray into the regions of policy, but as is their wont. But that every decision that we took was absolutely correct and the right thing to do, and that there should be no doubt and worry about that. Okay, members, do anybody want to comment on that before I move to item B, and we're moving inexorably to the end of the meeting? Councillor Mark Clark, right?
Just to show that. Yeses. Just to show I did read it. I just what's the clarification of what it's a wet signature of the chairman? What is it?
It means,
I think that's
it means that by hand. He has to actually sign the minutes with his own hand and an ink pen. Not a quill pen.
You were able to do that, Malcolm. Good, excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, I am able. I have been.
Thank you for the clarification.
The minutes. Alex has got a question.
I just wanted to thank the officers in particular for, I mean, this was a new auditor. We obviously have Sue's coming in, as I say, new to the council. It's been a tricky year without a full-time clerk. So I'm very pleased overall with the report and the work that's being done. I think the suggestions that have been made, if we had to debate them, I would support them, but you're already taking them in consideration and in place, like the quarterly month spend versus budget. I think is a fantastic suggestion, as is the quarterly audit. I welcome those suggestions. I think they will help benefit this council. You know, as we come out of the pandemic, it's going to be an interesting year, tough to predict. I do think overall decisions this council made have been pragmatic, they've been sensible, with the finances and the community at heart, and I do think they're the right decisions, but we do take on board what's in the report. But I think the praise should be to the officers, to Bev, our finance officer, to Sue, to Sean and the entire team, and we thank our new clerk, which is the start of a new auditor, which is the start of a new relationship. So it's a really good report, and that was also to show that I read it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now, item B is to receive an update on the effect of COVID-19 for the period of 1st of February 28th. And you can see that the figure in red has risen to £18,118.87, which although a significant figure, is nothing compared to some of the larger councils. Okay, any comments on that, members? Because it's for noting. And these are all for noting, aren't they, Sue? Yeah. Right. Item C is to receive the bank conciliation report for February 2021. Any comments on that, members? I've got Alex wants to raise a comment on that.
It was just on the previous point,
Oh, the COVID
really. What is the exact date we can reopen the parish hall and get bookings, and where are we with bookings that for spaces and the possibility of improving the income in that area, or are we not there yet? There's probably a question to Sean, maybe.
Well, Sean or Sue, whoever, to answer that.
Claire is the best person to answer that because she's collating as we speak.
Okay, Claire, the floor's yours.
So yes, we do have bookings. Some of our regular hires are returning in line with the government's roadmap when they're allowed to. So there's various dates, and we're in liaison with most of the groups now when they can return. So, and we've got a few new ones as well that are coming back as well.
That's good.
Thank you, Claire.
According to the roadmap, hasn't really identified this sort of facility being open unless one takes the not before the 21st of June date. Is that right, Sue?
Yeah, I mean, I echo Alex's concern. We really are waiting for Boris to tell us that there's nothing else we can say. You know, I watch the news every day, just like you guys do, you know, thinking, what can we open now? You know, and you're trying to read between the lines, aren't you, as to what he's saying. Don't book your following holidays. You know, can you open your community halls? I don't know.
Presumably, as we were only in at sort of the beginning of the financial year, there will be a level of underspend for the things that we weren't able to do in 2021, won't there? Until we can do them, because would you agree with that? Potential underspend.
Well, there will be a lack of income.
Yeah, but there'll be a lack of expenditure. We won't need to, for example, man up the halls and things like that. There's some of the, because we had an underspend due to the COVID in 2020. All I'm saying is that will be a level, and not probably very much, but there'll be a level of that hopefully that may compensate for the lack of income.
Yeah,
is that reasonable? I
think so. I think your first quarter is going to echo the anomalies of the past year. So yes, you're not going to get it feeding in for another 3 months.
No, that's fine. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, members, as I said, item C is to receive the bank conciliation report February 21. And finally, item D is the accounts of payments for February 21. Any questions on that last item, members? No, well, excellent. I will draw the meeting to a close at looks like 14 minutes past 8. Thank you very much, members, members of the public watching and officers.